If it ever feels like food is more powerful than you and you can't trust yourself, that's what we want to explore more. Hey, welcome back. Today I want to talk about self-trust. Why do we lose that feeling of being able to trust ourselves sometimes, especially when it comes to food? Sometimes we might eat something and then afterwards feel guilty, like I know I shouldn't have ate that, or I know I shouldn't have ate that much, and I just wasn't quite able to stop or control myself. And if we do that over and over again, it feels like I can't trust myself. So sometimes what happens is we'll end up looking for something outside of us. Maybe someone can hold me accountable because I don't trust myself. Or maybe I should write down my food because I don't trust myself. So we use all these different methods of control to try to create more control or trust, but unfortunately it doesn't usually end up working long term. So today I want to talk about why do we lose that sense of trust within ourselves? How do we regain it back? And I thought I'd do a series here, a full self-trust series that guides you into shifting your thinking and being able to rebuild that trust with yourself and your body. But we want to start with, why did we lose that sense of trust in the first place? Let's start there so we can see what went wrong, what's the path that we really shouldn't go down, and opening up a new path that creates a whole lot more possibility. What you're going to find is that losing your self-trust has nothing to do with you not being able to trust yourself. It's that you were taught a way to disconnect from your own body. And when you disconnect from your own body, you lose connection with its sensations. It's not about being able to trust yourself or not. It's about reconnecting with that part of you that has been made to believe that you can't trust yourself. So what does trust look like? Trust looks like being able to pause before eating, tuning into yourself and your body, and really feeling what would be in my best interest. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's always healthy or it's unhealthy. It just means that you feel truly in choice with your food choices and you're able to trust your body to guide you, that this is the right choice for me. If it ever feels like food is more powerful than you and you can't trust yourself, that's what we want to explore more. So you might be wondering, can I really trust myself? Every person was born to trust themselves and their body. It's just that along the way, our environment, the things that we learned, our conditioning starts to affect our sense of trust and connection with our own bodies. So, for example, when you're born and you're a baby, you come out of the womb knowing when to eat, how much to eat, and you are so in tune with that sense and that feeling. You eat when you're hungry as long as it's provided for you, and you stop when you're done and you're full. So every person's body was designed to be able to sense and feel that and to have that natural sense of trust that doesn't have to be, you don't have to think about it, you don't have to force it, you don't have to push and pull of like, no, don't eat it this time, okay, eat it this time. As a baby, you're just very in tune with your natural ability to let your body guide you. And along the way, maybe it's around being a toddler, being somewhere young, our environment starts to influence us. And gosh, we love our parents. I know that we're always trying to do the best that we can for kids. But let's say if you were born really in tune with your own body and how much food your body really needs, but then you're eating and you're like, yep, I'm done as a toddler. But then a parent says, no, you need to override that signal. And you need to keep eating until your food is gone, until your plate is empty. That's like your first cue as a child. Wait a second, my body is wrong. I should not trust this fullness signal, the sensation I'm getting. And instead, I use a visual cue to tell me what's right. And what's right is that I continuously eat until it's gone. And if that gets repeated, our brain starts learning. Body is wrong, plate is right. Body is wrong, plate is right. And so we start to lose that trust of fullness means I stop. And we rebuild more trust with I stop when the plate is empty. And what gets tricky is if that gets repeated again and again and again, and that's a learned behavior, one of the biggest struggles that we have as adults is portion control. We might have this feeling of, why is it that when I start eating, I have to finish my food? I can't stop. But then somebody tells me, go on a diet, get healthier, don't finish your plate. Now it feels like this inner tug of war that doesn't feel right. Or we might grow up saying, I can't trust. I might feel full, but I keep eating anyways. This is a learned pattern and a learned behavior. So it can create a little bit of an inner conflict. We can rebuild trust with those signals again, but we want to start redeveloping those new neural pathways. We can do that as adults, as any age, no matter what age you are, you can relearn this new path now. I'm building trust with my body instead of my plate. It's going to take a little bit of time and relearning, but you can always come back to those cues. It just might take a little bit of adjustment and recalibration, but know that you are born, your body is born with this intelligence, with this wisdom. The doubt that you have or the inability to trust yourself are things that are learned. So just keeping that in mind when you're thinking like, can I really do this? Yes, you absolutely can. You just need to know how. So as adults, one of the things that has made it really hard is that we're saturated in this diet culture that even though we don't see it as, oh, someone's telling me I can't trust myself, really that's what it is. I do believe that it's important to learn about health, how to care for your body, and learning about nutrition. I think that is really important because the more that you have knowledge, the more empowered you can feel in making healthy decisions. However, that being said, if you're completely dependent on a program with food rules, what you're doing is you're outsourcing your own internal power of what is right for me. And instead, we bring our focus to what does everyone else say is the right thing for me? And they need to give me rules and they need to hold me accountable because I can't trust myself. Now, I know you might be saying, but I can't trust myself. I want you to learn how to trust yourself instead of just saying, I need to rely on something else to hold me accountable. When you start doing things like writing down your food or having someone else hold you accountable, or even like writing down how many calories you're eating and you're thinking a lot, what happens is it ends up pulling your attention up into your mind and we lose our sensations in the body. So if all of our attention is up here, I should eat that, I shouldn't eat that because I'm doing a program or a plan, I shouldn't, is it right or is it wrong? We forget to just tune in and bring our attention into our bodies and say, does this feel right for me? That's where we build trust, is feeling our bodies, does this feel right for me? And a lot of people think, oh, I'm so far away from that. But when I give them permission to practice it, they almost instantly can get a very simple, quiet answer. Does this choice feel right for me? And you can start with the things that are very loud, like, does this feel right for me? For example, caffeine, like coffee. You might tune in and feel like, does 1 cup of coffee feel right for me? Could be a yes, could be a no. And then it could be like, does 2 cups of coffee? And you can kind of tune in and feel, and it feels quiet and it feels simple. We start to build trust with our own decision making instead of getting caught up in our minds of, I shouldn't, this is right, this is wrong. And we keep all of our attention up here. So diet culture promotes disembodiment, which is bringing our attention out of our bodies, up into our minds, a focus on controlling our food. We're working on coming back to embodiment, coming back to our bodies. Our attention is in here, and we can learn a lot. So diet culture kind of messes us up because it pulls our attention up here, tells us to restrict our food, instead of tuning into how much food does my body need. It's about eating less. And that can become overwhelming for our nervous system of like, oh, I haven't had enough food. And usually that perpetuates a loss of control with food. We tend to rebound. Whenever we restrict, we tend to rebound as a safety mechanism and end up overeating. And that makes us believe that we can't trust ourselves. There's this saying that dieting is a gateway to an eating disorder. And I believe that this is why, because it encourages us to eat less and use our mind, but then that creates this distrust with our own bodies and our survival mechanisms kick in and we overeat and then we swing back the other way. And so then we start to believe, I must not have enough discipline and willpower. There must be something wrong with me. And it's not true. It's just that you're using a pathway that is encouraging your own distrust with your body and causing you to swing back the other way. So diet culture of this, using our mind, really use motivation and intensity, keeps us in this pendulum of I do really well and then I lose control. Where we build self-trust is not this push-pull, but a coming inward to our own bodies and tuning in this way and feeling, if I could build trust with myself, what is my body telling me? What feels right for me? And that's a muscle that we build over time to build trust. One of the biggest reasons that we lose that sense of trust is actually because of our nervous system. This is one of the biggest misunderstandings of the entire health industry. Normally, our appetite is normal. We eat when we're hungry, we stop eating when we're full. But where we start to lose trust with ourselves is when our stress starts to increase. The body will increase hunger and the desire for sugar in food as our stress starts to increase. That's a protective survival mechanism that our body has. Our body will go look for food and seek food when we're under stress. It's a survival mechanism that our body is designed with. There's nothing wrong or broken with our bodies if we feel like we're hungry all the time, or if you feel like you're just thinking about food all the time. I remember when I was trying to get healthier and I would try to do a health plan. Maybe I would do keto, or I would just try to eat healthier, but it felt so hard because I was thinking about food all the time. All day I was thinking about, what am I going to eat next? What time should I eat? What time do I get to eat? What would be a good snack, not a good snack, portion control? And I was constantly just filled with these thoughts all day. And that's because my stress hormones were elevated. So it was creating this insatiable feeling of needing food all the time as a protective mechanism. So it's a completely different experience when we lower our stress hormones, our appetite normalizes, and we can just be present and in tune with our bodies without thinking about food until we actually need it. So this is one of the biggest misunderstandings. People think that when you lose control over food, or when you're hungry all the time, that it's something wrong with you, that your body is broken. And so we end up becoming dependent on these strategies to try to not eat certain foods, like keeping temptations out of the house, or using willpower, or even appetite suppressants like GLP-1s. And I'm not saying that any of those strategies are wrong. I understand if you don't trust in your appetite. This is nothing against any of those strategies. If they're helpful for you and you want to keep using them, totally go for it. It's really no judgment. But it's helpful to also understand what influences appetite. As our stress system turns on, appetite goes up because food gives us calories, it gives us protection. If you think about our basic core needs, food, water, shelter, these core basic survival needs, as your stress goes up, our inherent need for those things increases to protect us. So we start shifting and our physiology shifts and we start craving food, craving sugar as protection. So sometimes we think that we can't trust ourselves as our stress goes up because we're hungry, we're thinking about food all the time. Now we're ravenous. Why do I know how to eat healthy, but I can't trust myself because I'll give in? Then we become dependent on those diet strategies to keep us in check and under control. But because it never gets to the root of why we feel like we can't trust ourselves, it doesn't tend to work long term. It ends up being like a Band-Aid. So to rebuild that trust, it's about shifting the narrative that we can't trust ourselves or that we need more discipline. We don't want that diet culture mentality because it will never get us to where we want to go. True self-trust happens when we regulate our nervous system and build that trust with our bodies. But forcing ourselves to eat less means I don't trust you. When we try to cut back and do extremes, that means I don't trust my body and we use force. And then the body rebels and we're in this war with our own bodies, this push-pull. But when we tune in and we bring down those stress hormones, appetite normalizes, and then we start to feel more in tune with our own bodies. So your nervous system alone by itself will shift if you can trust your own body. That's the biggest domino. So over time, if you keep losing trust with yourself, it begins to really erode your belief that you're able to trust yourself. And so you might start to take on an identity like, I just always struggle. I can't do this. I'm bad at this. I'll never be able to figure this out. We start to believe that it's an inherent flaw within ourselves. And that couldn't be further from the truth. You're just really using the wrong approach. You're using an approach that pulls you up into your mind, disconnects you from your body. And really, dieting creates more stress on our system, more of a lack of safety. To rebuild this self-trust, we want to start creating repetition in the other direction. Where can I start looking for the truth that I can trust myself? And I might start really small. Where can I feel, oh, I'm thirsty. That means I need water. And I give myself water and I feel my body start to shift. That begins to rebuild that trust. I'm able to tune in, listen to what my body needs, and rebuild trust again. So while we may have eroded our trust through all the moments of losing trust, we can start to rebuild it by looking for evidence in the other direction. What I want you to know is that rebuilding self-trust is possible for anyone, but it does take a willingness. It takes a willingness to practice, to learn about yourself, and to go inward and begin tuning in with your body. Our whole diet culture has been so focused on what to eat and what not to eat. This is building self-trust. It's about moving your attention from that and moving it inwards. I build trust when I start to hear, what is my body really needing? How much food do I need? What food do I need? And can I start to feel and learn what is actually driving my choices? Are there emotions that are driving my choices that I haven't really felt? Are there certain thoughts like, I deserve this food, or I deserve a reward, or I shouldn't have that? And we start to get into a more intimate relationship with ourselves to see the truth. That it's not about controlling our food more, it's about learning about ourselves, what influences, why we do what we do. And that's when we build self-trust. We start to have a relationship with ourselves. So anyone can do it. One practice that you can start doing that can be really helpful is when you feel like you can't trust yourself and you start to go back into that, oh no, I can't trust myself, and the desire to control. Something that can be helpful is to bring, your hand to your heart just to connect with yourself, your body that you were born with, and feel your body. And you can breathe in. I trust you. My doubt is something that I learned, and I'm learning how to trust you. And letting yourself be on this unfolding journey. There is no rush. Sometimes when we give ourselves timelines of like, I have to get to this place by this certain time, we start to panic and we do things that manipulate our experience. We start to eat less or do things that are intense, and it pulls us back into that pendulum. We want to take a breath and really use this opportunity to get to know ourselves, to build a relationship with ourselves. So when you start to feel that anxious part of you, it might just be connecting back with yourself, bringing your hand to your body and breathing in, I trust you. My doubt is something I learned. And I'm learning to listen and trust in this process. So in future episodes, I'm going to share with you, how do we rebuild that trust again? What does that look like? What are the core shifts that we need to make? I hope you found this helpful today. So keep an eye out for the next episode. If you like this one, I'd love to hear what you think. You can always share with me here. You can also reach out on Instagram, Gina.Warfel. I connect with people through messages. I'd love to hear if something landed with you or gave you like a new aha or a different way to think. It always means a lot to me when I know that there are other people here in the world listening that it's helpful. It's also, really helpful to me to know that there are other people out there. And I also, within Mastering Mindfulness, teach classes and work with people doing this kind of stuff, guiding them. So make sure you check out Mastering Mindfulness if this kind of thing is calling to you and you want my help. I'll see you guys in the next episode.